You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today. Dog flirting at all, but we got Nico, and that's all I need.
I'm listening to the Packernet this morning. This is Nico. And Betty's calling in about Gannon smacking a player, and I thought, you know what, I mean, when Bramble mentioned it, I thought that was good too. But there's a kind of a dumb clip. It's from some TV show where there's like a bunch of people in the backyard of someone's house having like a picnic, and some kid smacks a girl, and so the dad goes up and smacks the boy that smacked his daughter, and then that son's dad comes up to that dad and he smacks that dad, and then the mom comes up and he smacks the mom, and then he basically smacks everyone. I think at some point in time the police come and he smacks the police. Someone needs to take that video, and I don't know how to do this stuff, right? Yeah. I can have ideas, but I don't know how to do these things. Someone needs to put Gannon's face on name or face on that guy. And every time someone walks up, it says, Rashawn Gary, smack, Ed Williams, smack, Matt LaFleur, smack. I think that'd be funny. I like funny stuff. Just kind of hit me when he was making me laugh, so that's all. Hey, go back up.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how that stuff is perceived. Apparently, players can't handle that kind of stuff anymore, but, for people that are worried about the fire, the passion, the intensity or whatever, it appears Gannon has a little bit of that, so there's something to get excited about. Liz from upstate New York.
Hi, it's Liz from upstate New York.
What's up?
Just calling in on I got two things I want to talk about. The Gannon hire, which I know you probably are still talking about, and more special teams opinions. So I'm going to start with the Gannon hire. Hey, I've been contemplating this and sitting and reading some stuff and hearing everybody calling in with different opinions, and here's my take. So Parsons goes out, we feel the difference on our defense. If this guy can come in and he does not have a scheme. He keeps saying, I don't have a scheme. If he can make adjustments when people get hurt, or he can make adjustments when we face a team that has a Derrick Henry on it, that's going to be huge, because that was something that I think that our team struggled with this year. Somebody goes down and nobody knows what to do.
And that honestly was kind of my thought. I didn't really know exactly, I guess, how to articulate that, because it felt like it didn't make any sense. Because again, we didn't have Micah the year before, and we were fine. And this year we have Micah, and we act like we don't know how to play without him. It just kind of felt like, not that I know, but it felt like we had built a scheme a certain way, and when we lost that key piece, we couldn't recover. That's kind of what they said about Matt LaFleur in Tennessee. He built the scheme around the tight end, and the tight end got hurt right away, and that kind of threw everything off. So it seems weird, but I think there probably is something to that.
It doesn't fit the scheme. Or we play a team that doesn't necessarily fit what our scheme is, and they can take advantage of that. So if Gannon can come in with different kind of adjustments to the defense, depending on who we're playing, who's hurt, who's available, who we signed, all those different things. That may be a benefit, because that was one thing I don't think we did well this year. We stopped some of the guys we knew ahead of time, and I think we did a good job against the Lions running backs, against the Bears running backs for the most part, especially at the beginning of the season. But after Parsons was gone, it kind of just kind of fell apart. And anytime anybody else would get hurt, there was no adjustments at halftime. There was a lot of problems with that. So that's my take on Gannon. I'll give him a shot, and hopefully that helps. So moving on to special teams tonight, I've been thinking about Bisaccia, and at the beginning of the end of the season, I was like, fire Rich. You look at where we were a couple of years ago when we signed Amari Rodgers. Horrible signing. Poor guy couldn't do anything. So now we're at a point 8, and I felt kind of confident. We have Davion Williams on there, we got Zane Anderson on there, and McManus looked good, and now we have an injury. All three of those guys are injured. How much of what's happening is Rich Bisaccia's fault? How much of it was injury and not having enough personnel? If McManus didn't get hurt, are we even having this conversation right now?
Sure.
If he was healthy with a clean leg all year, would we be disappointed in special teams? Because I used to think, can we just get a guy who can catch the darn ball on a kickoff or punt? Like Amari Rogers was fumbling, and I had to hold my breath every time he went with a fair catch. If we could just get a guy who can catch the ball, doesn't have to run it at all, no return on anything, and we don't commit a penalty, that's like the bare minimum. That would make me extremely happy. And for whatever reason, it's...
Let me get part 2 real quick.
Sorry, hit the 3-minute warning there. So I was wondering on your take on any of that. And, I have a funny story. I met a friend up here in upstate New York whose family's from Wisconsin, and another female, and we met up through our significant others. And it's funny because neither one of them are super huge Packer fans, and the two of us will sit down and talk about draft picks and, who's on the second string of the defensive line, and people just think we're crazy because here we are in the middle of New York. Two women having football discussions, so it's nice to have a buddy here, and that's another reason I really like listening to your show, because there's not a lot of people around here to bounce some of these thoughts off of. So it's nice to hear. Thank you, everybody calling in too. It's nice to hear people from around the country, all Packer fans, and what everybody's thinking and feeling and raging about whatever day it is. So thanks for that, and go Pack Go.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think it's cool to be able to provide the platform to other people. It's also good for me, like you said, to kind of bounce things off of, because a podcast is a one-way medium. It's me just saying, here's everything I think. And sometimes, you've heard me say it a million times. I don't know. And it can help sometimes to have people call in and say stuff. Obviously, sometimes I don't agree, but sometimes it's like, you know what? Freaking yeah, that's what I think. And then somebody else will call in and be like, yeah, no, maybe that's what I think. But yeah, I've said that about special teams several times, that I don't need a good special teams. I just need a special teams that isn't a liability. I'll take a good special teams. I'd love a great special teams. I would never complain about that. But like you said, I don't want to have to hold my breath every time somebody catches the ball. I don't want to have to assume there's going to be a penalty after every single freaking kickoff, which is my biggest issue with this. I mean, the missed kicks obviously are horrible, but everybody wants McManus gone. I think McManus is a phenomenal kicker who went through a very, very, very brief rough patch, and he was also injured. I don't want to get rid of him. I think probably the only Packer fan that does not want to get rid of him. When you have a good kicker, you keep a good kicker. He's a good kicker that had a very brief rough patch. I don't want to go through the whole thing where it's like, oh, well, how are we going to find another kicker? Another guy that just fails and has, because everybody has some rough patches, and I don't know. That's not as big of an issue for me. The penalties were the biggest thing, and I do look at Rich Bisaccia for that, because it's just, I understand that it's the players committing the penalties, and I understand that Rich has explained the rules to them and how to do things, but it's just a complete lack of discipline constantly. And like you said, I feel like because we all have relatively low standards, and those standards are not being met, it's so hard to look at it and say, yeah, well, it's the injuries, or yeah, well, it's the players, or whatever. I mean, I could see if we drafted a kicker and the guy just sucked, and, Gutekunst drafted a kick returner and the guy just sucked. And it's like, all right, Good, come on, man, you're making Rich look bad here. But we have a great kicker, a great punter. We had a great kick returner. And then we got Rich Bisaccia, who's going to fill in all the gaps, right? I mean, he's the one that went and got us Keyshawn. But, we know about all the other guys, that, Zane and all these guys that kind of come in and fill in for special teams and do all that stuff. And, okay, you just got to make sure that they do the other stuff. We got to make sure that We don't have these missed assignments that lead to blocked kicks or, the sloppiness and all. Just make sure that stuff is taken care of, and we'll be good. Except those things are never taken care of. So, again, the team thinks I'm wrong, and, they obviously have information that I do not. But I don't have the imagination. I've made fun of other people this way where it's like, well, then I guess you just don't have a good enough imagination if you can't think of a single reason. I can't think of a scenario. I don't have a good enough imagination to come up with a universe in which Rich Bisaccia is blameless in our special teams. I don't have that strong of an imagination. It's not to say that I know that I'm right. It's just to say that I can't imagine a world. And maybe that's a me thing, I don't frickin' know. But good to hear from you, Liz. Why don't we take a break here? We just got 5 more callers, so we're going to stretch these out a little bit. Appreciate you guys, again, for getting your calls in. But we'll take a break. We'll be back with Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Hey, Ryan, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Yo.
Just want to take back something that I said in a call from a few days back. It wasn't exactly what I was wanting to articulate regarding Gannon. I didn't mean to actually call him a retread. It's one of those things where I was trying to articulate wanting someone who had not been in that position before.
Sure.
And I guess I'm very easily swayed by what you and Clayton had to say when it comes to guys like, Parker, which we all have to admit, we had no idea who Parker was before the end of the season. And then when we do a little digging, find out, hey, this guy's got some possibly exciting ways of approaching a defense. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, it's not the sexy pick. So it's a little bit harder to get excited about it. I be the first to admit, I sure hope he proves everybody wrong and comes out swinging. So I had no problem being proven wrong on that one. So, but I don't know. We get our hopes up so many times on these coaches things, and then we are proven wrong a lot of the times. Like we had no idea who Matt LaFleur was.
Sure.
I will trust the process. I know Green Bay, for a lot of the times they do their homework and due diligence and figure things out that the rest of us stupid fans just have no idea what goes on. So, but I'm willing to keep an open mind when it comes to all this. And like I said, I hope he proves us all wrong and comes in swinging. So, not swinging at players, swinging at the opposing
Be careful
team,
with that
maybe.
one.
So, all right. Have a good one, Ryan. I'm out.
Yeah, I got to get back into the coaching stuff. We've kind of veered away a little. Well, not really. I mean, we talked about different coaches or whatever. We haven't talked about Gannon in a while. I started getting excited about him. We dug into certain areas, but some of it that I wanted to get to, I haven't gotten to. And that is really hammering on the final year that he had with the Eagles, where the pass rush was as good as it was, and kind of getting back to that first question that I had in regard to who we should hire. My first instinct was whoever is best for Micah. You're looking for a guy to build a defense around Micah. And I kind of, left that in the dustbin and started looking at all these other guys. But I mean, if you go back to asking that question, and you can come up with whatever answer you want, but the guy that did what he did in Philly, getting 70 sacks on the season with those guys, and I think specifically the way he used Hassan Reddick, which is going to be, I believe, similar to what he's going to do with Micah Parsons. It's not, even my imagination, I could see a scenario where the Packers framed it that way and said, how do we make this a dominant defense, specifically with Micah Parsons? That was a massive investment. That needs to be the centerpiece of our defense. Who's going to bring that to us? You look at the guy that built what was it, 2022 Philadelphia Eagles pass rush? That guy. The guy who brought Hassan Reddick to like 21 sacks or something. It was PFF sacks, but still. Insane amount of sacks. like everybody had broken their, like everybody's season high sacks was that year. I could very easily see why that makes sense as the guy. Now, I still have to go back and kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. That's kind of just a theory that's out there without a lot of concrete foundation to it. But it's kind of one of those things where I know there's something there. I just haven't taken the time to dig into it. And it's 7:00 at night already. I haven't started on tomorrow's podcast. I don't know if I'll have time to. Maybe I will. Maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do for tomorrow yet. But anywho, I'm excited. I really would like them to start doing the press conferences. It feels like it's been kind of lacking a little bit. I thought they would have done that by now, but it'd just be good to hear from them, be able to get the media out there to get some questions posed to him. I don't know how detailed of answers we're going to get, but maybe just to kind of fill in a couple of the blanks that we're all having. And, you know, to your point, as far as proving us wrong, kind of coming from the standpoint of assuming everything is going to be bad or that there's other people, maybe helping his own case in getting the fan base motivated. And you can say that that's not really his job, and to some degree that's true. But, you know, Jeff Hafley was a very good communicator and teacher and our articulator. And I think to some degree, maybe it's a little bit unfair, but I think to some degree you could say that there is a guy that can't inspire the fan base to believe is going to have a hard time inspiring the players to believe. So it's kind of your first test a little bit. So it'll be interesting if he kind of can change some minds with us. That'll be a good indicator that he has that ability, period. Again, it's possible he just has no interest in doing that, but that'll be something that I'll be looking out for, is just kind of, you know, again, Jeff Hafley had the wow factor. Not a lot of people do either. It's not, you know, I don't mean to like pick on Matt LaFleur or pick on all these other people or whatever, because it's not so much like if you don't have it, you're a loser. It's more so if you do have it, you have that special quality that very few people have. And we were fortunate to have Hafley. Campanile was a guy that just kind of has that. The guy that was our linebackers coach that went on to be DC and is now getting head coaching looks. It would just be nice if he kind of was able to command the space and inspire some confidence in that initial press conference, whenever that happens. All right, Dakota, what you got going on, Mike?
Hey, Ryan, this is Dakota, that nerd in Tennessee.
What's up, buddy?
I've been starting every single one of my calls on one time on Twitter. Anyway, so there's this dude I'm sure you've seen named Titletown Talks. He's had many very loud opinions that I don't agree with, but he's had some that I do. One of the things that he just recently said was that as a Packers fan, as he includes everybody, we're not looking forward to the draft as much, which I understand. Without first round picks, most people that aren't degenerates, like most of the folks that just listen into this podcast, most people are only really interested in our first round and maybe second round pick. But seeing his tweet saying that he's not going to be as excited about the next couple drafts because we don't have first round picks made me, I ended up replying. It didn't make me do nothing. I ended up replying, well, I got to disagree because, to be honest, I feel like we've picked up more players that have been better in the second round than the players that we've gotten in the first rounds. And then I said, well, how many of our best players historically have we picked up in the first round? And I mean, recent history, what in the past 15 years? And I could do that research.
Sure.
But I really got to focus on the interpretive action plan for the park. So I said, I could call it into you and let you decide to tell me to start off, or you might actually do the research. One of those two things is going to happen.
Packers draft history.
So that's my question to you, sir. how many of our historically good players have we actually gotten in the first round within the past, let's just say 15 drafts? If you want to change the parameters, do that. If you want to look past, or just look at who our historically best players were in any given year, and just look at when we drafted them, or if we got them in free agency. I'm actually really curious. But yeah, we'll talk later, man. I'll definitely be listening. All right, bye.
Well, and that was one of the things I said was good about this year, if people are willing to do the work, is we all do that. Even Packer fans who have a complex about the first round, we have this thing where the first round is the only round that actually matters. After that, everybody probably sucks. And I think that's just the way the draft like media is kind of on it. First round picks are all studs. Second round picks, maybe you can get a good player. Third and beyond, they're just not good anymore. And it kind of shows up that way when you watch the tape and everything too. You know, the guys with special kind of. It can kind of work the opposite too if you actually watch. There's some guys that have like third, fourth round grades. Like, what are you talking about? That guy's a freak. But you're right. I mean, it was funny that you said that, because I was even thinking a different way to do that would be to say, you know, how often is the first round pick the best player of that draft class? I would guess pretty close to never. And it is good to look back at some of the other mid to later round picks, or even second round, to look at, you know, because you feel like when you don't have a first round pick, it's like, what's the point? The first round is again, if you're kind of new to the draft thing, and so there are psychos that are deep in the draft. They have familiarity basically through 7 rounds, more so to the earlier rounds than the later rounds, but they can pull it off. It is very difficult to have that level of familiarity through, you know, let's say 300 and some odd, 350 prospects. It's very difficult. It's tough to get to 100 where you feel pretty confident. And most people have about 50, which is about the pile that are potential first-round picks. You've got lock first-round picks, which is probably, 15 to 20. And then you've got, you know, out through 45, 50 that maybe, you know, you have a decent idea who the 32 are going to be, but there's a pile of guys, you know, there could be 20 that you're looking at saying they could slide in, you know, they could end up being first-round picks. So, and that's the thing, most people don't have familiarity with draft picks beyond 50. I would say your recreational draft pick guys, you know, if you're doing team-specific mocks, then you're going through 7 rounds, but you're also kind of skipping a ton because you're only looking at certain positions, and so some guys you really start to learn, other guys you don't know at all. But if you're a mock drafter, if you're somebody that does like first round, second round mock drafts, you only know really the first 2 rounds and the guys in the first 2 rounds. And that's usually my comfort zone, if I'm being honest. I can get out to about 100, which, I mean, we're talking maybe third round. If we're being honest, top 100 basically is 2 rounds. When we drafted Jaden Reed back in 2023, I did a top 100. And then I started reaching out to people to see who I should cover. I ended up doing about like 115 prospects that I watched film on and graded. Jaden Reed wasn't in that group. Some people did reach out and say, watch this Jaden Reed guy. He looks really good. And I didn't get to it. But I did about 115. He wasn't in it. He was a second round pick. So the point is, we have this overly confident opinion in first round picks and too low of an opinion beyond the first round. And that just doesn't really match up with reality. So this last draft class so far is not looking great. Matthew Golden we all like, but he did nothing. Anthony Belton does not look good. Savion Williams, again, we like him, but he barely played. Barron Sorrell, we didn't really get to see him until the end of the year. We kind of liked him, but he didn't really do anything all year. Colin Oliver was hurt all year. Warren Brinson didn't do anything all year. Micah Robinson and John Williams' name we haven't heard all year. John Williams was hurt. Micah Robinson just didn't play. But if we go back to 2024, Jordan Morgan, or how about Edgerrin Cooper? Yeah, I think second round was probably our best. But there was also Javon Bullard, who looks pretty solid. Evan Williams was a 4th round pick. Oladapo we haven't seen, but he seems pretty decent. He's a 5th-round pick. 2023, you got Luke Musgrave. I like Luke Musgrave. But we got Jaden Reed in the 2nd round. We got Tucker Kraft in the 3rd round. Wicks in the 5th round. Valentine in the 7th round. That's a lot of that is a very good draft class, 2023. 2022, we got Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt in the 1st round. Wyatt, strong contention. However, we got Watson in the 2nd round. I think that dwarfs everybody. We also got Romeo in the 4th round. That is a fantastic pick. We got Zach Tom in the 4th round. That is an elite pick. We got Rashid in the 7th round. From a value standpoint, elite pick. If you're talking about premier players that we actually got in the 1st round, we can't say Golden. We can't say Morgan. Van Ness seems good, but he's not like somebody you're building a franchise around. Wyatt, same thing. I like Wyatt. He's solid. You could convince me he was a 4th or 5th round pick, and I'd be just as happy with him. Let's see. We got Stokes in 2021. That was no good. Jordan Love in 2020. Obviously, that's massive. Also, though, that's a quarterback. That's a franchise quarterback. That's kind of a different situation. 2019, I mean, we're going back quite a ways here, but Rashawn Gary would be arguably the best, but also Elton Jenkins was in the 2nd round of that draft. I think you could just as easily say that. 2018 would be the one year. Like if we were redoing 2018, the draft basically sucked outside of Jair in the 1st round. I mean, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is great value in the 5th round, but he wasn't a great player. 2017 was a year we did not have a 1st-round pick because we traded back. That was a devastating situation where we traded back instead of picking T.J. Watt and took Kevin King. But we got Aaron Jones in the 5th round, by far the best pick, probably the only good pick in that entire draft class. Josh Jones, Montravius Adams, Vince Beagle, Jamal Williams, good pick. So, again, it's kind of just a complex. Obviously, you want a 1st-round pick. I don't want to do that thing where it's like, well, we're so bad in the 1st, we'd be better off without one. Just trade it for a second. That's stupid. That's not the right way to think about it. But it's also not the right way to think that the 1st round is basically 90% of the value in the draft, and after that is just garbage. We have found a lot of our talent in the later rounds. We're going to have to spend a lot more of our resources on the later rounds. I mean, that was a big difference between Brian Gutekunst and Ted Thompson. Ted Thompson didn't use resources on the 1st-round picks. He used all of his resources, all of his meetings and everything to try to make sure he got the mid to late rounds right. And a lot of times he did, but got the 1st round wrong. He also had that complex. Gutekunst, by the way, is better in the 1st round than Ted Thompson was. And maybe for that reason, maybe because Gutekunst spends a little bit more of his resources on the 1st round. But now we're not doing that. So now we've got to look a little bit deeper at some of these other prospects and try to make sure that we hit in the mid to late rounds. So here's what I would say. There are going to be absolute studs, absolute franchise-changing players in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, I don't know. And there are going to be good undrafted free agents. It's just a question of can we find them? They're in there. Every year, those gems are in there. Elite players are going to be from the 2nd round and beyond. We just need Gutekunst to find them. Okay, let's take our final break. We got 3 more calls, and then we're up out of here. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? It's Arles.
What's up, dude?
Just been thinking about the Mannion hire for the DC of the Eagles. I'm really happy for him, man. I've heard nothing. I mean, we've heard nothing but good things about him coming out of Green Bay. And it's just, I can't think of a faster rise in recent history. I mean, that's pretty quick. He was an assistant as much as 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now he's a defensive coordinator. 3 years of professional coaching experience. And he's a defensive coordinator. And not just the DC of any team, but the Eagles, right? A playoff caliber, Super Bowl caliber team, even with all the crap they have going on, all the personalities, they still show up and perform, more games than not. So good for him. Sucks, man, because somebody in 3 years that can accomplish that's amazing. And it really makes me look at Stinovich and Buckus and wonder what the hell is going on there. Because if you guys have been at it for as long as you've been at it and you can't get a DC job, why are you here? If nobody else wants you, I don't want you.
Yeah.
I mean, adopt female mentality for a second. No woman wants a guy that other women don't. I shouldn't say no woman want, but you know what I mean. You know how it goes. Women like a man that attracts other women.
I don't know what women want.
For the most part. Kind of changes as you get older, but you know what I mean. Why the hell are they still here? Nobody wants them. And you got Mannion coming over here, assistant 2 years ago, quarterback coach last year, DC this year. That is just amazing. And I think Matt LaFleur, he's got to do something, man. And like I said, we don't know what Stinovich does. We don't know what he does, right? I acknowledge that. But I've seen Office Space. And I learned from Office Space that just because no one knows what you do doesn't mean you don't deserve to get canned, right? I know you learned that too. We all learned it. So with that being said, I'm happy for Mannion, man, but I really, it's for me, it's more so putting a bigger magnifying glass on Stinovich and Buckus, where it's like, well, what do you guys, what do you do here? Yeah. All right, brother. I'll talk to you.
And that's the hard part about this situation. Like I've said, if you have one of those really rare, talented guys, they're going to move on. Unless you put them at the top, right? And unless they're at their top and there's nowhere else to go. You know, I mean, Matt LaFleur is a head coach. Really nowhere else to go for him. Gannon, maybe if nobody wants him as a head coach, maybe we can get him to stick around. That would be ideal if that does pan out, obviously. But otherwise, it's so hard to hang on to these guys. That's why some of these guys have like 10 titles. You know, they're defensive coordinator / assistant head coach / brilliant genius of the universe.com. You know, that just they're doing everything they can to give him every title in the world and probably a pay raise with it to try to get him to stay. And eventually, though, they're going to move on. And the other guys, if they don't move on, that's kind of the problem. They're not good enough. That's why they're here. If they were better, they wouldn't be here anymore. And it's going to be difficult. You know, it's probably easier to say, well, then just go find somebody. It's probably tough to keep finding that young up and comer every single time. But you also don't want to get complacent. You don't want to be in that situation where, I don't know, we're just stuck with this guy until he gets hired away, and he's never going to get hired away. So I guess he stays here forever because there's a comfort level. I mean, we're buddies and we get along, and he's cool with the rest of the staff. Staff's cool with him. Everybody's just gelling. It's fine. It's easier to not have to have that uncomfortable conversation of firing somebody. You got to watch out for that. And again, I don't know that that's happening in Green Bay. I hope it's not. But it just, like I said before, it makes me uncomfortable when the only people leaving, because this is the same thing Mike McCarthy had happen. The only time people left is when they were talented and got hired away. Nobody ever got fired anymore. It's happened in the past. We've seen guys, I mean, the defensive coordinators all get fired and everything and whatever. But I don't know. You don't want to get to that point where everybody starts to kind of settle in and you're, for lack of a better word, just stuck with certain guys, But in LaFleur, I will trust. In Gutekunst, I will trust. And, we have a good team. We have good staff. And we've got a bunch of new guys that I'm pretty excited about. Mannion getting hired away is I think we're losing quite a bit of talent, but it's an opportunity to find that next creative mind, that next stud. And the other good thing about it is you get another vantage point. You get another, what would you say? Somebody who has different experiences, especially for like a quarterback's coach for Jordan Love. Because Jordan doesn't need to learn the basics anymore. I'm sure they'll do little tweaks and they'll keep an eye on his footwork and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I remember Aaron Rodgers talking about this later on in his career, how like every year there'd be like a new thing he'd want to work on. It's fine tuning towards perfection. You've got the basics. Matt LaFleur's scheme inside, outside, backwards, upside down, and the other thing that I won't say. But I was trying to think, like, what is that saying from that one show? Upside down, inside, and oh, never mind. It's from Todd Packer is the one that said it. I was like, what is that saying? Oh, never mind. I can't say that. Right before he gets announced as the new VP of Sabre something or another. But he knows the scheme inside out. He understands the basic fundamentals. Let's get another guy in here that's seen some different things, who kind of can understand things from a different perspective, has worked with some different offenses, and just see if he can learn something else. Just that one extra little tweak. If you can make him, 3% better every year, 5% better every year, just find that one thing to tweak to make him better. Heck yeah, dude. Let's do it.
Howdy, it's Jared Schrader, the Uber driver.
What's up?
I don't get what the Vikings are doing. No, man, they fired their GM. Don't know how that happened. Such a good drafter. So good in free agency. Man, what rough. A man to fire,
What a man.
Wow. All jokes aside, apparently the owner is also going to run the thing, or run the draft and then choose a new GM. Interesting choices. What are your thoughts? Go back up.
The Vikings fan base really likes the ownership, and I think that's fair. I think that, they've generally done a good job. I think they're generally a respected organization. This has been kind of ugly, and it's a hit to their reputation. And I think Kwesi is at the center of that. I mean, if you look at every embarrassing thing that's happened, it's hard to not just blame it on him. The drafting of JJ, the handling of the quarterback situation, the allowing Darnold out the door. And I even said that's a ticking time. I don't know what the right answer is, but you're in big trouble either way. I mean, if you decide to keep him in lieu of your draft pick and it turns out that was a fluke, you look like an idiot. If you can look like a super genius if you let him walk out the door and that guy goes somewhere else and he sucks because he's not under, KOC's leadership anymore. And now you take JJ to new heights, and it's like, wow, you're a genius. Who would have had the frickin' cojones to let that guy out the door? You did. You are a man. And instead, you look like an idiot. It could have gone either way, but there you go. It's just sloppy, and the drafting has been bad, and everything's been pretty bad. And they need to get some better leadership in there because it's a bad situation. Not that it was super great before him. Again, I've always been critical of the way that they build through free agency so much. They go out and get these old guys. I don't understand that. They gotta, not necessarily that being the youngest team in football is always the greatest, but you need to. Any team, anybody that wants to run an organization that doesn't say you build through the draft, you're not getting the job. That is GMing 101. And you need to find somebody, first and foremost, that is very good at drafting. We'll figure the rest of it out. If we need some different personnel staff in here to help you out with the free agency portion, or if we need a Russ Ball to come in here and work on the contract situation, we'll work on that. I need a guy that is good at finding people in the draft because that's how you build franchises. That's how you build dynasties. And they just haven't had that for a while, and they got to get that. Not that I want that, obviously, at all. I hope that they never find success with that, but that's, every team needs that. You look at the Lions. They've been a joke of a franchise. They suddenly learned how to draft. They hit on a couple good draft picks, and boom, they're off and running. You get a good couple draft picks with a good coaching staff to put it all together, you're off and running. That's all it's going to take. I think the entire NFC North right now has a good coaching staff. It's just a matter of can they find the right players. The Bears found potentially a quarterback. We'll see. He's not terrible. He's better than what they've had, it seems. And then they found a few other pieces. Again, the real test is going to be, can they draft without top 15 picks every year and not, 120 million in cap space? If not, then forget it. But, again, if they just, that's the other thing about it is you can even be a bad GM, Schneider. If you just hit on one really good draft class, that can be transformational. And the Lions kind of did that. I think it was probably closer to 2 or 3. But it can really set you off in the right direction, at least for a while. The Lions are already tapering a bit, but you can watch a franchise just skyrocket like a frickin' bottle rocket when you just get a really solid draft class. Find a quarterback in free agency and a Jackson Smith and Jigba, and look at that, you're in the Super Bowl. As long as you have a coach. But we'll see. We'll have to keep our eyes on that situation. Again, like you said, it's a weird situation to just be like, yeah, we're going to fire him after a bunch of GM people have already been hired, so they're off the market. Man, how much would it suck if John Eric Sullivan went there? I don't know if he would, but that would be freaking rough. But yeah, a lot of these guys are off the market, but we're still going to wait to, if there's any others that get hired away, we won't hire them. And then after the draft, we'll start that process of trying to hire somebody. Okay. Again, they might have a dominant draft, but if I had to pick if I had to rank based on who I think is going to have the best and worst, the Vikings are going to go 32nd. They're the only team drafting without a GM right now. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Final call, Nico from Idaho.
Yo, this is Nico. Excuse me, from Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so brass tacks, right down to it. No messing around.
Okay.
Jennings Dunker. I want him.
Yeah.
Okay. As previously stated multiple times, I like big, beefy men. We need more of them. I think you build a team by quarterback, offensive and defensive line, and then you go from there. If you have those three things, you can do a lot with less. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I want him. He's got a mullet.
Mm-hmm.
He loves Culvers. I know you said he may not, be around, but don't you think that he was not just dropping some seeds for the Packers organization to go,
Come get me.
He could be like a Tucker Kraft on the offensive line. In fact, I would not doubt if those two dudes would become solid good friends.
Buddies.
And
go hunting.
Dunker and Kraft. There's something in there. There's a song. There's like a name. There's a product.
Dunker and Kraft.
I just thought of it. I can think about it later, and maybe what's his face from Green Bay? We'll call it. He always has a good one. Yeah, Dunker and Kraft. They would be like the best duo of our offensive line, and they would probably hang out and like eat chicken breast and drink beer. And look at their hair, and maybe Kraft, maybe it would inspire Kraft to grow a mullet, because I think you can almost draft on name only. Remember we took that one soft, fluffy pillow as a center, and we could have drafted Creed Humphreys. If I had not even seen a PSF grade of either of them, a college one, before the draft, I would have drafted Creed Humphreys on name alone, right?
Sure. Because
it's a hello. That sounds like a dude you hire to go rescue your son and daughter-in-law because, they work for Doctors Without Borders and they were kidnapped by like Somalian pirates. And you hire Creed Humphreys in some dark, seedy bar where the lighting only hits the forehead, and he just goes, I'm going to go get him. And that's what you do with a guy named Creed Humphreys, I forget the guy that we drafted at the same time right before him.
Myers,
that doesn't matter. Insequential, I'll never think of him again. Other than thinking of Creed Humphreys saving my kids in a third world country. That's it. So yeah, get the Dunker, love him. Him and Kraft would probably take over and bring this offense level. Don't even draft anyone else. Just throw them all in. Just get him, right? And with the 29th pick, the Green Bay Packers gave up everything for this one ginger offensive lineman, and we're done. Yep, we're done. We're going to run it back and kill it. Go, Pack, go.
Package everything. We'll move up to like pick 17 in the first round. We'll take Dunker and we'll just walk off. And that's it. We're good. Like, are you sure? Yeah, we just want Dunker. I like that. I had a request for a song. Maybe I'll do it for tomorrow's podcast. Because how do I not do like a Dunker song? You know what I mean? all I can think is Twista. If you are from my era, Twista was real big. I also grew up in Chicago. He was a Chicago guy. So, see, I do the Chicago thing, too. Suburbs of Chicago. So maybe that's why I was exposed to him more. I don't know. But he was big, like, high school for me. And he had a song called Badonkadonk. And I can't think of Dunker. I don't know why my mind goes there when I hear Dunker. But it would be pretty hilarious to do some kind of a wordplay song about Dunker's Dunker or something. Oh, is it just me? Is that weird? I know it's weird, but like, is it too weird? Am I crossing lines here? I don't know. I'm trying to brainstorm with AI, and AI never puts boundaries on anything. They're never like, yeah, dude, that sounds like a weird idea. AI is immediately just like, that's a great idea. Something like Jennings got that dunker. Oh, no. Jennings got that dunker dunk. Oh. All right, well, I'm out of here. Y'all have fun with this one. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hey, Bell King, but don't condone. Let's go. Yeah. But don't condone pancaking fools when you're on the line. But don't condone weapons grade ginger, they mullet fly. But don't condone. Hey, Bell King tossing them to the sky. But don't condone. I tell the front office, get them signed. What? But don't condone. Watch them. But don't condone. Maul that. But don't condone. Run through. But don't condone. Big man. But don't condone. I love that. But don't condone. I tell the front office, get them signed. Oh snap, damn Dunker. Look at that boy moving bodies. 6'5" high, Lineman wears low. Probably got this couch running to him like a posse. 38 stars, and he never took a day off. Sophomore walking down the hall, coaches saw him. Jaws dry. I up a cane for somebody else within this side of frame. Offered on the spot, now you pin Hawkins on the map. And giving penalties, 2,000 snaps, that's discipline. 78 run, blocking grade, he's finishing. Every single defender catching elbows to the chin. Joe Moore, winner, best unit that has ever been. Second team academic All-American with the 3.59. Human physiology major with a nasty side. Nasty, yeah, I mean streak they can't deny. They too pick up, but they had them GMs going live. But don't pancaking fools when you're on the line. But don't weapons grade ginger, that mullet slide. But don't hate bell tossing 14-6 high. But don't I tell the front office, get them signed. What? But don't watch them. But don't maul that. But don't run through it. But beat man. But don't I love that. But don't I tell the front office, hey, now picture him at Culver's for the post-game feast. Double bacon cheeseburger. Hold the vegetables, please. Family size cheese curds, onion rings on the side. 3 cups of rich for beeping, man. This boy can eat. What? Showed up at 340. Coaches lost their minds. Put him on that fat bike. Said he'd rather die. That Pelder lost the pounds, but he got back to 315. They dominating senior bowl like it ain't a thing. Took him over by the storm. When everyone on one. Had scouts drooling, saying it's the chosen son. Gap in power scheme. That's where he belongs. Move him inside the garden, watch him get it done. Banned for flag football as a kid. Too rough for the league, only speed he ever did. Was nasty, mean, aggressive from the start. But Duck about to tell the league apart. But don't brain canking fools when you're on the line. Don't weapons grade ginger, that mullet fly. Don't salt and beef days, sham in for life. Don't tell the front office, get them signed. Don't what? But don't watch them. But don't maul that. But don't run through. But don't big man. But don't I love that. I tell the front office, get them signed. When they go wildly, watch your village phone before I'm like a hobby. And got the money flowing, I get the world, so every step it takes pre-ain't hoes quality. And trash something. Oh yeah, first team, all big team, that's a pedigree. Lombardi, watch list. This ain't wagging the seat. White tackle, right guard, even took some snips to Cena. Multi-position weapon, every team shall remember. Ducker got the something you can't taste. Functional straight and late. Put them on your team. That's a damn fine. You came a star, walk down the hallway. Now he's going far. Cheese curd champion, hey Bell, every living large. But don't about the job, luxury car. Work ginger and mullet fly. Hey, Bell came tossing them to the sky. To the front, oh, sign up. What? Watch on. Mouth that. Run through 'em. Big man. I love that. I tell the front, oh, get 'em signed. Trapped up. Woo. Sign up. Hey, Bell King. Weapons grade. Hey, 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 hey. The dope. 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 Hey. 315 on your left. Let's go. Let's go.